Top Democrats are expressing outrage over deportation raids launched over the holidays. Some of them will be holding a press conference just a few minutes from now. The government effort is narrowly focused, specifically targeting undocumented immigrants from Central America that arrived in 2014. Nevertheless, my next guest calls it a cruel reminder of a discredited policy. Illinois Democratic Congressman Luis Gutiérrez joins me this morning. Congressman, it's great to see you, sir.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. I want to read to you what Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson said about this earlier this week. He said, "This should come as no surprise. I have said publicly for months that individuals who constitute enforcement priorities, including families and unaccompanied children, will be removed." What do you say to that?
It's Christmas Eve, Jose. We're celebrating the birth of Jesus Christ throughout our communities. And the signal from the federal government is, we're coming after you. We're going to send you back. Look, this isn't an immigration issue. This is a refugee issue. The fact is that there are $800 million in the budget we just approved, and the president's asking for $1 billion additional dollars. Why? Because he understands that there is no civil government in charge that can protect the people in those countries. The murder rate, the drug dealers and the drug cartels are in charge. They're murdering, they're raping, they control every fabric of society. And people, Jose, when I met the woman down in the detention center, down in the San Antonio area for Father's Day, when we went down there, she said to me, "Luis, yo puedo vivir en pobreza, pero no puedo vivir en paz. I can live in poverty, but I cannot live in peace." In other words, she was saying to me, help me because my life is at stake, because my human rights are at stake. And I think the United States of America should put together a hemispheric approach. Look, the refugees from the Central American governments shouldn't be the sole responsibility of the United States. There's Canada, there's Costa Rica, there is Argentina, there are other countries. But it is a humanitarian crisis, it's a refugee crisis, and it's one we should respond to accordingly.
Congressman, there are those that say these folks that arrived did so illegally, and they arrived here just a short while ago. Any immigration reform says that there's, any immigration reform proposal has a cutoff point by which people who arrived at after a certain time would be deported. Why not deal with this as what it is, which is people that crossed over in 2014 and 2015 and that have gone through their processes?
Because the refugee processing is demonstratively one that is unfair. The fact is that when they receive this paperwork for a refugee status, it isn't even in a language that they understand. They don't have access to counsel, and they go back, many of them, to a certain death. This is a refugee issue. It should be treated differently. I see armed men, armed American citizens, fully armed, taking over federal property, and the government negotiates and says we should talk to them while they're having press conferences armed. And yet I see defenseless Central Americans who have come to this country seeking refuge in the United States. Look, Jose, the fact is there are $800 million this year. There's $1 billion being requested for next year. You and I both know that civil society as you and I know it in the United States does not exist there. The drug cartels, the gangs run society to the point where they have corrupted every level of the government.
And Congressman, as I let you go, I want to remind everybody that these folks that are now going through this are actually going through the process legally. They're not running away from their responsibilities once they get here. They're actually going through the process. And even during that process, there's someone knocking on their door, and many times with fake excuses, saying they're looking for someone else. So they'll be allowed in that door.
I'm happy you make that point, Jose, because you see, They didn't come illegally to the United States. We have a process where you can seek asylum in the United States. They are using that legal process. What we are saying is that the asylum process, Jose, is one that is broken, that doesn't guarantee you. So for those that have attorneys, the success rate is huge because
100%
their
almost.
credible fears are there. For those that don't have attorneys, we need to fix it and make sure that one is available to them.
Congressman Luis Gutiérrez, it's always a pleasure to see you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.